You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Coming to you live right here on Tuesday night, every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Our last fallback ever this coming weekend and standard time from then on out.
That's right.
Never again will we have to change those clocks. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and he is not with us this week. Mr. Keith Cheatham is not here, and unfortunately, we have some somber news to start out with. On a serious note, I know we typically joke when one of us is missing from the show that the Indians have come and slain one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Commanders, I should say now, since they changed their name.
That's right.
The Commanders usually come and take one of us. But no, we do have some sad news. Just want to say a family emergency that Keith could not be here with us this evening. So if you all could, send your prayers out to him and his family. They had a loss of sorts. It's not a human loss, thank God, but definitely a tragedy of life circumstances, and definitely nothing that anybody would wish upon someone or would ever want to deal with. So please, if you can, just keep Keith and the Cheathams in your prayers tonight and for the coming weeks, because it's going to be tough road ahead for them. So we're definitely with you, Keith, in spirit, and obviously hope you will be back with us next week. But please just, continue to pray for the Cheathams. Mm-hmm. We do have a packed show tonight. We are finally done with our Halloween reviews.
Yes.
We are done with those. Those are in the past. We have back down to one review, which is less work to have to prepare, which is great. Oh, you got a nice beer over there too, by the way.
Well, yeah.
It's a seasonal one.
It's seasonal.
It's a regular.
It's the old Oktoberfest.
You can't go wrong with it.
Sam Adams.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff. Yeah, look at that. Oh, just beautiful. Crisp. It really is. Sam Adams Oktoberfest is one of my favorites.
Yeah. I wanted I really went looking for the Jacko.
Yeah.
The pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
They don't have it. Or they didn't have it at
wait.
Cox's, so
Sam Adams is a Jacko?
Sam Adams has a beer called Jacko.
I don't think I've had that.
And it's a pumpkin beer. Like
okay.
It's like drinking pumpkin pie. It's very good.
I don't know if I'd like that. I'm not a huge pumpkin
it's just
spice.
Got that hint of pumpkin in the back.
Okay, maybe.
They didn't have it. It's orange, but it's like a light orange, and it's got like a little jack-o'-lantern's face on it. And I think it's called Jacko is what it's
Jacko.
called. Yeah.
I think of that. There's like a production company of Jack Hole.
Jack
you know what I'm
Hole.
talking about? The TV production company. Well, and it's weird that it would be lighter, because I would think the darker orange would represent like pumpkin pie.
Let's see here.
But Oktoberfest. October's come and gone, guys.
Jacko Pumpkin Ale.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, hold it up to the. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to try it.
It's very good.
Okay.
I just couldn't find it, and it's the season, so I'm like, where the heck is it?
It's gone. October's over. Halloween's
they
gone.
Had all kinds of Oktoberfest there. A different brand Oktoberfest beers, but no Jacko.
Everybody has an Oktoberfest. Comes around the season, and
the Yingling Oktoberfest I've never tried, and they did have it. I almost got it.
I'd be willing to try that one too. Yingling is kind of right up there with Blue Moon for me.
Yeah.
It's not the best. It's a mass-produced beer, but it's pretty good.
It is.
It's not terrible. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I will say I had a fun Halloween. I hope you had one.
I did.
Take the kids out.
Yeah.
Trick-or-treating.
Yeah, we did that. We did our neighborhood and the neighborhood across the street.
There you go.
All that good stuff.
Good times. They get lots of candy, rotting their teeth out.
Way too much candy.
Yeah.
We had to like throw away candy from Valentine's Day to make room for the Halloween candy.
Oh wait, do you siphon how much candy they can have like throughout the year? Like when they get it on a lump sum, like on a day like Halloween.
We have a big candy drawer.
Okay.
And
okay.
they get 2 pieces of candy a day if they want
Oh,
candy.
that's actually not too bad.
Sometimes they go for fruit or muffins or something like that, but if they want candy, they get 2. They can pick 2 things every day.
Okay. That's
So,
I
that's
think
not too
that's a
bad.
good rule.
Yeah.
I mean, did they get any full size candy bars?
No, it's
Them
all the
bougie
little,
peeps?
It's all the little stuff. No,
Yeah.
We do have some bougie people that hand out cans of soda though.
That's my sister's neighborhood did
Yeah.
that. They handed out the same house did
Sun-kissed.
full size candy bars and soda.
Dang,
I'm like,
that's
man,
expensive, dude.
that's big bucks.
It is.
But no, they I went down to E-Town, had a good time down there.
Mm-hmm.
Took my nieces and nephews out with my fam. They were dressed up like Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot. I think the Mario characters themselves were fine. They
Yeah.
were good. My mom knitted this Toad hat for my nephew Andrew, which was bomb awesome.
You
It
got
was
the
great.
pictures?
I do the
Throw
pictures.
The pictures up here.
I'll show
you
them.
mine, too.
Yeah, they were a good one. And but I still think what stole the show, no doubt, was they took the big wheels that they had, or the Power Wheels,
Yep.
and they dressed those up to look like Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I mean, it was like that. That was what was.
Did you use that little 4-wheeler thing for
Yeah.
one of them?
Yeah, and yes, my dad put a new battery in that. That thing works like a charm.
It goes fine.
Oh, it's fantastic. I gotta find it now. I just had it too. Do you have yours?
Yeah, I got one.
Here, I'll go to you.
So
you show
this is Captain America and Ash Ketchum. Is that what his name is?
Ketchum. Ash Ketchum.
You can't even see it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's got a Pokemon on his shoulder.
That's so good.
He's got like the shirt and the hat.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
we safety pinned a Pokemon on his shoulder.
Did he have like a Pokeball?
He's got a Pokeball in his hand too. Yeah.
It would have been funny if he, took like his card collection with him and was just like, see, I'm a real.
No, he didn't
I
have
really got all the.
didn't have the card collection.
I got them. Oh, here we go. All right, so this is my niece Kate, and her picture. She is Princess Peach, of course, and that's her car.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's all of them together. Andrew is Toad, and my nephew my nephew Trip as Mario, of course, right there. It was great. It was fantastic. And I have to say, the great convenience of having those carts dressed up like the characters themselves, it also helped in terms of just getting them around the neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
It was like
They just drove those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And I mean, they were just like boom, bouncing from house to house.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
I'm going to tell you something about Halloween that I think is crap now.
Okay,
We
all
talked
right.
about the good stuff. I'm going to tell you about some crap stuff.
Is this like back in my day?
Yes.
Okay.
Somewhat.
All
So back in my day, we kids, number one, we didn't go out until it was dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number two, we went out and walked. We didn't have parents drive us from house to house and drop us off at people's front doors.
True.
I can't tell you how many cars drove by and kids just jump out of the car, run up, get their candy, and then they run back up in the car.
Dude, golf carts.
And golf
They're
carts.
huge.
Yes, we had the golf carts too. The golf carts are one thing, but
Right.
the car, dude, that's just lazy. Walk your kids around
Yes.
and let them trick or treat.
Yep.
Like, what kind of couch potatoes are you raising that you drive them, chauffeur them around in your Escalade or your Tahoe, and then they jump out in my yard, grab candy, and then leave?
And then boom. And then they
No, there's
hop
no
back into
working.
the truck. And
There's,
then, yeah, I know.
there's no work, no effort, no nothing.
Dude, I remember
That's crap.
it was like that. Now they have these aren't really that bad because it actually limits, I think, the amount of candy. Like, I actually think my brother and sister-in-law did it right in terms of they had those plastic buckets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now it's like once that gets
That's full,
they're
we're
done.
done. Yeah.
They're done.
Sure.
Whereas we walk around with like pillowcases.
Yes, we
and
did.
it was like it better be halfway full.
Yep, you look like Santa Claus when you went home.
Exactly.
with-
I'm lugging
yep.
that thing
That's
home.
right.
I'd be able to hit somebody with it and it hurt.
Yep.
That's what we did as
Yep.
kids, no doubt. And we prided ourselves on filling that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, when I moved neighborhoods, me and Keith grew up across the street from each other. We went around, but then when we moved,
Yeah.
I would hit my neighborhood. then drive over to their neighborhood,
Yeah.
hit up all the old houses, and
But you
get
got out
twice
and
as much
walked.
candy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Have to.
absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
People are just lazy nowadays.
I'm telling you. What's the world
It's.
coming
I mean,
to?
it's. I understand the safety aspect of it.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, the more cars that are on the road while there's kids walking trick or treating, the that's not good. Like, you should walk. Get
Yeah.
out of your car and
Well,
get your
and
car
that
off
was
the
the
road.
crazy thing.
You're
There
gonna
were-
hit somebody.
There were plenty of cars parked in the neighborhood along the side of the road.
Yes, park and walk.
And that was great because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, good. These are parents who brought their kids to this neighborhood and they're just traversing the neighborhood.
Sure.
But it's like, okay, they're not driving around the neighborhood.
Yeah,
and
go
that's
where,
too
go where the
congested
candy
anyway.
is. I agree completely. Go to the rich neighborhoods. That's where that's where you get the Cokes and the full size
It was
candy
bougie.
bars.
There were some bougie places over
That's what
there.
I'm saying.
It was pretty legit.
But come on, get out of the car.
I totally picked out on some of their candy too. I couldn't
Did
help
you?
it. Oh, heck yeah.
They're never gonna eat it all.
no.
I had some at work today.
Yep.
So
See?
I'm gonna tell you, I had a Reese's, a Snickers, a Twix, a Kit Kat,
You got to have one
a
of
pack
each.
of Smarties, and a Blow Pop.
You better watch them Smarties, man.
What's wrong?
They got some
Fentanyl in them? Nah, I checked them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we had that talk. It was
Yeah.
like if the candy is in a sketchy looking wrapper,
Yep.
or if it's
pitch it.
Yeah, we go over
Did
that.
you? Well, I was gonna say, did you check it all?
Yeah,
Like,
we went through everything.
Yeah, that's what I
because we
remember
go
that,
through the
yep.
stuff that we're not going to eat. Like we don't eat Milk Duds.
Oh,
or
dude, I love Milk Duds.
We hate the Milk Duds, so those go to
good.
Papaw. And then there's like lots of different like Tootsie Rolls. Who eats a Tootsie Roll?
Yeah, okay,
You
this
like
is,
Tootsie Rolls?
I don't mind them, but they're not for Halloween.
No.
Like if they're there in a jar or so, or like in a somebody has them out
At
in
a doctor's office?
Yeah, I'll grab one. Of course.
In a jar at the dentist or something. Like nobody
The
wants
worst.
Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, it's like the worst thing for your teeth. Like, so we're gonna have you pull that filling out
right.
just so we can give you
Yes,
a new one.
exactly.
But no, I would like totally. I would eat like a dozen of them if they're free, sitting there.
Oh, no.
But if it's Halloween candy, I'm like, give me the good
No,
stuff.
The good stuff. That's right.
And like you said, it was like I went and I cherry picked every different type of candy I could get.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, if they've got a Snickers peanut butter,
Mm-hmm.
but there's Reese's. Reese's is better than that. But I Kit Kat, Nestle Crunch.
Yeah.
Let's have it all. Skittles. So
I see
good.
this one candy bar that shows up every year, only on Halloween, is the freaking Crackle. What's the Crackle? Who buys
It's
Crackle?
it's the Hershey's Nestle
Nestle
Crunch.
Crunch.
That's what it
the
is.
poor man's Nestle Crunch.
That's what
the Crackle.
I do love for Christmas candies. They have the 3-banger, the Hershey's, the Crackle, and the Good Bar.
And the good bar?
You know how they come in the fun size?
Yes.
And they have them all in those and Special Dark Hershey's. Special Dark, so good.
Okay.
But they always have those
I
for
just-
like Christmas.
The only time I see this little yellow wrapper that says Crackle on it is at Halloween. I'm like, where'd you come up with that?
The other one that's I think
Dollar
is
store?
kind of faded. It's not as great as a Payday. I'm not a big fan
Milky
of a
Way.
Payday.
Who wants a Milky Way?
Oh, Milky Way's so good. The Midnight Milky Way.
That's good. I agree.
Ooh, and
Yeah.
$100,000, man.
$100,000. Yeah, I never
100
saw
grand.
one of
Nobody
those on
ever
Halloween.
gets those anymore.
No.
They don't.
You want to be bougie? Get the $100,000.
$100,000.
I don't know.
Telling
Now
you.
I'm hungry.
I
I'm
ate
gonna
too
go home
much.
and eat some of my kids' candy.
I ate way too much candy last night. It was bad. I turned into a kid again. But
Yeah.
that's what it's for.
That's,
you know,
It's true.
you
As
just
soon as the kids go to bed, mom and dad
that's right.
go straight for the candy.
Absolutely.
Or
Eat-
uncle.
Well,
whatever.
again, like you said, they don't need all of it.
No.
That's what you're there for.
No, I
I'm
put
helping
limits
them.
on them. I don't have limits. I'm an adult.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, I gotta go buy them some new candy. I ate it all. And it's like, this isn't what I got. I'm like, well, live with it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our review. We are back to one review this week, a remake of a classic,
Yeah.
one that we reviewed way back when we did our Academy Award winner reviews, starting
one
at
of
the
the
beginning.
first, yeah,
One of the first. From the 1930s classic All Quiet on the Western Front to now the 22 German-made All Quiet on the Western Front from Netflix. Here is our review. The following is a review by Keith Cheatham. All Quiet on the Western Front, the German novel written by Erich Maria Remarque and published in 1929, is still to this day one of the most acclaimed war novels written, the first of its kind to showcase the actual horrors of war and critiquing blind nationalism. The novel had such an impact it was quickly fast-tracked into a Hollywood film released in 1930,
The movie would become the third film in history to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. Though the original film is beloved and we here at Red Moon have also given it a favorable score, it's not without its drawbacks. Though the most realistic depiction of war on film at the time and meant to be a cautionary tale, even when the film first released, there were criticisms that it did not display the true horrors of war, as well as what was depicted in the novel. Looking back, the original was a necessary stepping stone for cinema and war films, and it still effectively shared its message, but is definitely a product of its time. While its message stayed timeless, a modern adaptation of the novel could offer a more realistic and effective approach to the horrors of war, and possibly a more emotional conveyance of the original's message. This is exactly what Netflix and German director Edward Berger have set out to do with their adaptation of All Quiet on the Western Front. Filmed entirely in German, though it is offered both subtitled and dubbed on the platform, it tells the same story, but with the intent of truly showcasing the horrors, the turn from pride and extreme nationalism to the loss of faith in their superiors, and the hopelessness and senselessness of their endeavors that German soldiers experienced. In this, Netflix's All Quiet succeeds, though this is also due to the themes inherent to the novel and the story. With so many powerful war films to compare to, such as Saving Private Ryan and 1917, All Quiet doesn't miss the mark on realism and offers plenty of scenes to convey the realities of war, though I don't believe it stands out in this regard either. The writing and acting, however, are both strong, and Paul's story, portrayed on screen by Felix Kramer, is as effective as it ever was. Where I believe the modern film succeeds in ways the original couldn't, however, is in its tone and the grittier, more realistic approach, with an opening scene of the war and soldiers' uniforms being stripped from the dead to be repurposed for the new incoming troops, hearted dialogue between top officials, and the banter amongst soldiers as they reflect on the lies sold to them. Berger's film feels closer to the real tragedy that, while thematically done well in the original, suffered from censorship of the time and a more lighthearted style of acting and directing. Yet even still, while I love both films, I can't bring myself to see this new version as the definitive adaptation either. With a score I felt sometimes broke the mood rather than set in a quicker pace than the original, I felt some of the emotional beats between characters aren't as strong. It's a shame that the film had an opportunity to effectively and accurately showcase the atrocities of war, yet drops the ball a few times in making it emotionally land. That said, the biggest moments are still powerful, and the relationship between Paul and Katz, played by Albrecht Schuch, still lands as the centerpiece of the emotion before a bitter ending. Berger has crafted a film that respects both the source material of the novel and the original movie, while not forgetting the lessons the original author intended when he wrote the novel. Though I think a tad more depth would have served the film in certain scenes. I cannot argue the effectiveness of the film and how it complements the original. Perhaps separately each misses the mark in small ways, but together they both are an effective cautionary tale of vigilance and morality. I give All Quiet on the Western Front 3 out of 4 stars.
There it is. 3 out of 4 stars for All Quiet on the Western Front, the 2022 version.
Yeah.
So let's discuss it a little bit. Let's talk
All
about
right.
that, because
I'm just sad that we're one voice short.
I am too. He's usually the one that leads us off
Yeah.
in these discussions. I know.
Yep.
He did write the review. I just
did.
voiced it, but
Yeah.
he did write it.
And I agree with the 3 stars. I did give it 3 as well.
Same.
I definitely like the original better, even coming from someone who's not a huge fan of black and white, and I'm not a huge fan of the older films. Like I guess I don't get the nostalgia as much as some people do, but I definitely thought the scenes, especially of the classroom scenes, where the professor is kind of rallying them to go off and fight in this romanticism of being a hero, and it's kind of like romanticizing the thought of war, and they wanted to go fight. I enjoyed that. There was a little glimmer of this in the new movie, but I also liked the bits and pieces in the original where you see the main character come home, and it shows a little bit of him being back at home as well as then going back to war.
Yes.
This one, it's just they're at war the entire time. This movie felt not as I I didn't really feel like there was any moment in this film where it lets up on the darkness of that war, and I appreciated that, but I also liked the slower and a little bit of the little bit of levity that you get from the original film. So
yeah, it's funny because I think another aspect in this film that I really enjoyed that the original, I don't think it's not that it didn't show it didn't know how to really encapsulate it, was the negotiations that go on between all the war and the mayhem.
Yeah.
And I thought it did a fantastic job of this juxtaposition of here are the people who are actually on the front lines, and here are the elitists that are up here trying to, they're up there just sipping in their fine china, eating all this food and decadence, and trying to discuss, well, what's going to be best for our side? And it's just like without any kind of, I mean, you have one figure, and I thought it was well balanced. I thought they showed, if you wanted to give some kind of humanity or some kind of, goodwill towards any part of the German, the German troops, as the one German upper echelon that basically is like men are dying every single day.
Yeah.
That we stall and come to some kind of agreement. We're losing people. We're not only losing resources in terms of finite human lives that we're putting out there, but it's just like the senselessness of doing it when we know that this has to come to an end.
Yeah.
And then I loved the gristly nature in which the French are sitting here saying, we're not going to act like your hands are washed clean all of a sudden because you want to come to the table and try to negotiate some kind of peace compromise that we all knew, because they were also, in the way that they were relentless in making them surrender, led to ultimately how Germany reacted to what led to World War II and the uprising of Hitler. Yeah. But it's like all of those little things and those nuances, I think, were very well done in this movie, much more than the original. Yeah. I have not read the source material.
Not me neither.
I'm really curious to see which one kind of portrayed the book better, simply because if you watch the original 1930s version and then you also watch, then I think it's 1979 with John Boy Walton.
Yeah, the made for TV.
Yes. Yeah. If you watch that one, they both end the exact same way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that the 79 version is almost a remake of the classic.
Yes. And
tries to pay homage to it. And this one kind of does pay homage to both, but I wonder if it also takes notes from the books that neither one of those movies covered.
So last night I was reading a little bit about this to see how much each version differed from the book. And from what I could tell, the original was the closest to the source material when it came to the actual story of the characters. Yeah. But this movie actually captures the actual war scenes and the things that are taking place, like the just the darkness of that war and this war-torn countryside. It captures that better than the original did.
I know,
and I think it's because when that was made in 1930, I guess there's just certain things that you can't show.
I remember back when we discussed the original, when you consider when it was made, the marvel of the war scenes you see in that film,
they were pushing boundaries then.
Yeah, spectacular.
But it's, when you're looking at such a violent time, like you have to go there.
And you think of what, and I think Keith mentions it in the review, the censorship that was taking place even back then because of where Hollywood and movies being this new medium and it being very much like how much do we show in this gristly, visceral nature, and they did hold back, or they were probably told to hold back in that regard. And because I actually remember the one moment that stands out to me the most in the original, and I think it does too in this film as well, is the scene with him in the the mortar hole. I don't know what it is, like the
crater.
The crater. And he ends up having to kill the French soldier. And you see this sense of humanity of him coming to realizing that, in that trench warfare, there is no, there's no sides. It's you or me.
That's right.
But at the same time, it's also, all your ideology just fades away in that moment of realizing you just took this person's life. And it's like, you see them gasping for air, and it's just it's oh man, it absolutely is gut wrenching to watch.
It's I would before the review was over, we talked about 1917, and I liken this newer film to Saving Private Ryan in terms of realism and really showing in depth what the things that took place during trench warfare. Just as Private Ryan shows you the European countryside in World War II, and just it's sheer hell. And that this movie was just there was just so many moments that I felt like were hard to watch. I don't know why. There's actually a scene in Private Ryan where Private Upham is like watching as one of his own comrades is getting stabbed to death. The Jewish guy, I can't think of his name in the movie, but the German soldiers on top of him just slowly pushing the knife into his chest.
Yes.
And I have to look away. I can't watch it.
Yeah.
It makes me sick to my stomach. And there were so many moments similar to that in this movie that were so gut-wrenching and real and just terrifying.
Yeah.
Really,
well, and I mean,
that,
and that's one thing I will say is no doubt worth. For one, there is a dubbed version on Netflix.
Yeah.
Stumbled on that one accidentally, but I was watching it with my parents, and I knew that if I said, "Oh no, we got to watch the German version and subtitled," they would have been like, "No, we're not watching it."
Mm-hmm.
Which I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't, want to. It's definitely, I think, worthwhile to watch the German version. There's actually certain scenes I'm going to go back and rewatch just with the German, dialogue, because of the acting is fantastic, and it really is. You take away from some of those emotions when you have this, very. I think they do a decent job, but it's audible.
You can tell.
You can tell it's dubbed, and obviously the voice doesn't match perfectly with the lips. But there's also certain characters that I think are overemphasizing certain kind of emotions in their voice, because again, there's only so much you can do when you're not acting out the scene.
Sure. Yeah.
But ultimately, I just think that this was a worthy remake of a classic. For one, because again, the Great War, the war to end all wars as it was deemed at the time, was supposed to be truly something that we have glossed over and we don't really talk about. I mean, sadly, World War II is kind of, because we have such classics like Saving Private Ryan, and because it is constantly something that we are taught and brought up, it's brought up constantly in education when you're growing up. You know much more about it, or even the history of it, and of course, just the heinous actions of Hitler and the Holocaust. But you have to relive through whether 1917 or even a movie like this, that visceral nature of just how, I think, much more grounded and again archaic some of the practices were.
Yeah.
And that's what made it much worse and much more, again, just brutal and tragic to see that life lost in such a cost. For what I think the movie brilliantly displays as, again, people who have these ideas and ideologies that they are willing to put others' men's lives. I mean, I think especially the one particular plot point with the one general who knows the armistice has been settled, it's been signed. Yeah. There is going to be the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. That is the end of the war.
Ceasefire, yeah.
And he's got 15 minutes. And he sends this band of troops out there to the trenches to just give an all-out slaughter for this last-ditch effort, not for their honor, but for his own selfishness.
Yep.
Because he's not out there on the front lines.
Yep.
And it's just the senseless loss of life for what? For what?
Yeah. It's one of the scenes that really got me, and it's kind of along those lines. And you even alluded to it when you were talking about the. When they're negotiating these terms on the train, and you see, I can't think of the guy's name, but he was in Captain America. He was
he's in Inglourious Bastards.
In Inglourious Bastards,
he plays
as well.
I'm forgetting his name.
I know.
Inglourious Bastards. I'm gonna look him up.
But he's one of the ones doing negotiating, and the one side says, "Hey, yeah, we'll agree to the ceasefire," and they say, "So the ceasefire will take place in 6 hours." And the look on his face when the guy says 6 hours,
Yeah.
I thought was amazing.
Yep.
Because he knows what is going to happen in that 6 hours.
That's right.
Just 6 hours.
Yep.
And instead of just saying the ceasefire, we're going to call it now.
It's done.
It says we're going to do it in 6 hours, and he realizes, God, 6 more hours of this.
Yeah.
Like he knows the cost.
My
And
mom thought
it's
the
sickening.
same thing.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, she said, "Why are they not ending it now?"
Now,
like, it's just
exactly.
that
Yeah.
urgency of what is the significance of this stupid, poetic meaning 11, 11, 11.
Yep.
It's like, come on, again, the loss of life in just those 6 hours.
Yep.
And again, I don't know what kind of dramatization.
Sure.
Sure. It's
But
a work
it
of
was
fiction.
well played in the movie.
It
for
was,
sure. Yeah.
and no doubt. And his name is Daniel Bruhl. He is a German actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he played Frederick Zoller in
Zoller,
Inglourious Bastards.
Yes, he was
But-
the guy who got like 100 something kills
Yes,
with a sniper rifle.
he's the I forget what they the Jew hunter.
The
No,
Jew- no, it's not
that's
the-
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
But he's the decorated Nazi pretty
Yes.
much that they
Yeah.
go to, that they make the film about.
Yeah.
and he stars in
I'm
it.
pretty sure he was in Civil War though.
Yes,
he was
is.
the guy that was trying to get
Yep.
Hydra
Yes.
going again or whatever.
And I mean, he's a fantastic
Yeah.
German actor,
Yeah.
and it plays a fantastic role in this. But no doubt, it's just definitely worth watching, definitely worth seeing. It doesn't quite, I think, it's interesting because as much as I see this as a much more, again, very gritty look at World War I and what it was like to have trench warfare, and that's necessary for telling this story. It is interesting because I would like to see, I think, World War I films kind of, not for sake of, again, box office booming, but, we've had, again, so many stellar World War II or even Vietnam films.
Yeah.
That showcase the tragedies and blood, soaked battlefields during those wars, and it's like, again, this forgotten war that really
say the same thing.
that has kind of been glossed over and not looked upon. And I'm like, it's not that I want to downplay this movie, but it's like, okay, we this is a remake of a movie of that war. It's like, can we not? I mean, like 1917 tried to do it. It was a fictional story, but it showcased the real tragic elements in that fictional story of what was happening during that war. And I think there's so many different ways in which we can experience, the World War I and continue to showcase. I mean, the fact that you talk about early artillery such as machine guns and these guys running across a battlefield not knowing what the hell a machine gun is and just being this barrage of bullets coming at you and not standing a chance. Yeah. And you're sitting here thinking you're running across to at least get your bayonet in one of them.
That's
and
what
you're
I'm
just
saying.
getting
It's
mowed
not just
down.
that. You have like 5 shots, and then you're running to stab somebody with your bayonet.
And that's the other thing. And then even if you have that, you reach them, it's that ugliness of not even getting off a shot, but just straight up stabbing somebody and they're bleeding out in the cold mud and just losing their life slowly, gasping for the last bit of breath. It's just awful.
17 million people died.
17 million. And just it shows you the true wounds and loss of war and it just the casualties and ultimately just the ugliness of human nature and what it can really culminate in. And again, it's not that there isn't evil to be fought. I mean, war is ugly, but sometimes war is necessary. But I think to remember those tales and the tragedies that come with the loss of war is something that we can't forget. So no doubt this movie does that, and it's worth revisiting a tale like this for that purpose.
That's kind of how I see it. I see it as a revisiting or a retelling of the same story. It's not so much a remake because it does change a lot of the story elements.
True. Even just the scene at the beginning. With the reusing of the uniforms.
Yes.
And him getting a uniform with the soldier's name on it that he rips off, and it's just like, just a name. Just a name.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, somber note.
Yeah.
I know. It's a somber movie. There's no way around that. But definitely worth checking out. A very powerful film. Good to watch on Netflix if you have a subscription.
Yeah.
I think next week, if I'm correct, I thought Wakanda Forever comes out the 11th. So I forget what our next film is going to be. We may not have that yet picked out. I'll have to look.
I'm not sure, but hey, I mean, what a movie from Netflix, right?
Yeah. I mean definitely one that I think they saw on in
November 11th, Wakanda.
Okay, so we got a couple weeks before that one. I think we got one more review before we get to Wakanda Forever. But we'll let y'all know on social, maybe before the end of the show, what we're going to review next week. Yeah. But definitely check out All Quiet if you can, and you have a Netflix subscription. It's definitely well worth it, especially if you haven't seen the 1930s original, which may be hard for some to get through because of how old it is. It is an aged film, but it's a masterpiece too. It's no doubt.
What was the runtime? Do you remember?
Actually, they were similar. This one was 2 hours and 30. Like 2:32.
Yeah.
And I think the original was like around 2.5.
Okay, I thought it might have been longer, but I don't know.
And it's funny because I will say I think that's why you wouldn't watch the dub version of this, since it's based on German soldiers, and it is, Germans who acted out in this film, whereas in the original, obviously it was made for American audiences and they didn't do subtitles. I mean, talking early Hollywood, they wanted anybody to see it. So, they deliberately spoke English even though they were German soldiers. And I remember it's funny because as soon as this movie started and they were talking, my mom's like, "So wait, the English are fighting the French?" Or and I was like, "No." I was like, "It's dubbed. It's dubbed." I was like, "They're German soldiers." Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, okay." Because my mom's even like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah. I did watch. I watched the dubbed version as well.
Okay.
And that's just because I hate subtitles,
which we talked about on the show.
We have talked about it. Yeah, the original was 152 minutes.
Okay, so that's 120. So it's 240? Because 120 is 2 hours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. A little bit longer.
A little bit.
But let's move on to our headlines. Oh,
I don't know. Yeah,
you got it in, though.
I got nothing.
You got it in.
I'm not going to do it because Keith isn't here.
Hey, you should do it in honor of Keith.
No.
For him not being here.
No, I can't. That's sacrilegious. It's blasphemy to do that without
It's
Keith.
not honoring him?
No.
Well, the thing is,
alone, it's honoring no one.
You could do it in honor of him. It just won't be as good because it's not Keith.
So I did. That's what I did. What I was gonna do.
There you go. Okay,
that's
it. All right, he's done. That's all.
Conversation's over.
So now let's talk about our first headline on the block, which happens to be this big news coming out that broke a little bit after our show last week. We thought we had a longer break from Star Wars. No, turns out there's a new Star Wars film in the making.
Of course.
And none other than Damon Lindelof of famed Jar Jar Abrams, one of Jar Jar Abrams' acolytes, is in the writer's seat.
Yeah.
So how
Didn't
do
he
we
help
think?
With Lost or something like that?
Yeah. Him.
Okay.
He was one of the Lost.
I liked Lost for the first 3 seasons.
Same. Honestly, I was even in there for the 4th with through the writer's block, and then it just went way off the deep end. And then it was like it just. Yeah.
Which is the one they go down the hole and travel through time?
Oh, that starts, I think, in season 4.
That's season 4, yeah.
Where he's like, "You got to move the island." I was like, what the hell is this? Well, we all know the whole big Jar Jar Abrams thing is mystery box. Throw out a mystery box and have everybody, just hunger on what could it be. Mm-hmm. Something we saw poorly done and terribly done to death in Rings of Power.
Yeah.
To the extent that it didn't need to be.
I stopped wondering.
Yeah, it's like I didn't
really care anymore now.
Exactly. I just lost all sense of caring.
Right. No interest.
What do we think, though, about the fact that this is supposed to extend from the same arc of the 9 series, the 9 film series that we already have,
the Skywalker saga,
which was supposed to have concluded.
Right.
Number 9 was supposed to be the end.
It was.
So how are we supposed to... I've talked about it on the show. Could they be in episode 10? Could they do it?
I don't want it. But that's what it sounds like.
Do you think that's what they're working on?
The subtle hints that were there in the article definitely sound like they're going to try to continue Rey's story, which I don't care about Rey. I don't really want any more of Rey.
I don't care about Rey. I don't care about Finn. I don't care about Poe.
See, I like Poe Dameron.
But see,
I do like him.
But here's the thing: I like no character traits.
Yeah.
There's character traits of all of them I like. None of them have character development.
No.
They're all literal just flat
Just
surface
stop.
characters.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, what original has Disney done
That's true.
in the last decade?
None.
Nothing. So I don't know if I trust them to do something original with Star Wars.
Well, and we were supposed to have, after the failure that was Solo, and then, of course, 9 comes out and it's a debacle in terms of dividing fans and critics.
Solo was one of the better movies.
It was, but...
You talking about the box office?
Box office.
Oh, okay.
It's a box office failure.
Yeah.
But because I agree. I think Rogue One and Solo, the in-between films were great.
Yeah.
It was the main entries that were terrible. And we've talked at length on this show before about just the jumbled mess of not having a cohesive vision through that trilogy.
Yeah.
But is this not, again, a deeper, further problem of, hell, even Kathleen Kennedy, who's in charge of this property, and she still is head, holds the reins.
Yeah.
And now they've got Damon Lindelof, who's supposedly supposed to be this white knight from Jar Jar Abrams' camp that is going to put the series back on tracks. I just don't know.
No.
I'm not feeling good about this.
No. And it's just funny because if you read in the article, the writer definitely talks about how there's nothing like having a long break from Star Wars opens up the opportunity to start these new stories.
Yes.
But then at the same time, though, I get vibes from the article that they're saying, well, we don't want anything from George Lucas's saga to be in any future Star Wars stories. And so I'm thinking you can't have Star Wars without some elements of the past and without some elements of what we've seen already. You have to have lightsabers. I'm sorry, but the shows that are on that don't have lightsabers suck. The Mandalorian is okay, but it got better when the Darksaber showed up and we start seeing. I'm just saying, like Jedi and lightsabers and all that is Star Wars.
Right.
I'm sorry, you can't have it.
Well, and even when you take that position and that stance, at least you're talking about shows that are side stories.
Yes.
But it's like if you're going to talk about a movie,
if you're going to make a Star Wars movie, it's got to have some kind of a connection to what we've already seen.
Yes.
Whether it's 1,000 years in the future, it's still got to be like, well, just like in the Clone Wars, this happened. They've got to harken back to what we've seen already.
Well, and we also
eliminating
know
it completely is not an option.
A finite amount of time within all of the different entry points of the main story that is, in between each of the episodes.
Yeah.
And that's where your Rebels and Clone Wars and all the Mandalorian, all these different shows fit within those gaps. But you only have so much to tell. And I think the fatigue we already know is set in with people already saying, okay, Kenobi was fine, but it was kind of more of a grab for nostalgia.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a good show.
Boba Fett was not well praised.
No.
The most recent being...
I have heard good things about Andor.
I've heard that it's slow.
Yeah.
And most people that I've heard complaints from is that they're like, okay, pick up the pace.
Yeah.
I don't know if it did.
But I've heard if you like Rogue One, then you'll like Andor.
Okay.
So I don't know. I've only seen the first 2 episodes,
Well,
and
what
it
were
is
your
slow.
thoughts?
It is slow.
Okay.
But again, it's that world that I love, and everything in the show definitely fits the tone of what I've seen so far.
Right.
So I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I wouldn't say they're great, but they're definitely better than Boba Fett and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan I thought it was terrible.
Really?
I hated it.
Do you think it was just because they got Ewan McGregor?
They got him back, but he was a piss poor Obi-Wan. It's like, I get it. He's old, but in A New Hope, he is about to kick the crap out of Darth Vader, and he sacrifices himself. Vader wouldn't have won that fight if Obi-Wan didn't want him to. So I'm just like, that's the Obi-Wan in the show is a washed up old has-been and never really breaks free of that in the show. and I just didn't enjoy it. I'm like, you're gonna give me Obi-Wan, you give me one of my favorite characters and make him a pansy. No, I don't want that.
Yeah, you can't. That's sacrilege on the characters.
That's right.
Well, and I think so many have been. That's really what kind of started the controversy with when you talk about 7, 8, and 9. I mean, so many of the different subversion of expectations. First, you had the Mystery Box Galore / New Hope remake with 7.
Yep.
Ryan Johnson completely just throwing everything out the window in 8, saying none of that matters. So then it's like, here we are in the third film. It's like, what the hell do you do? How do you conclude this?
Yeah.
And I give
Retcon
credit.
the last movie and
right.
move on.
That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And granted, I was one of those that walked out pleasantly surprised how they ended it because it retconned what 8 did.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
that was my favorite part about it.
Yeah.
Was that it took Ryan Johnson's movie and said, piss on this and threw it out the window. That was the best part about episode 9.
That's what's been so divisive with fans. Fans have bemoaned number 9 but here's the thing. The reason why is because it really was, there's no way you could have wrapped up that trilogy. Because it was all in tatters and torn.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
And there was no way JJ could have saved it or salvaged it. And I ultimately think that any kind of tie back to him as if he's this some kind of new linchpin of a George Lucas talent.
No.
I'm like, again, it's the same problem that I feel like we had with Zack Snyder in the DC universe, or even that we're starting to experience with Kevin Feige in the MCU. There's a fatigue of, okay, why don't we find some new talent that's untapped, not completely inexperienced? We don't want to go Rings of Power route, where they're all brand new, fresh faces that don't know how to write. That's what you got there. But at least that understand this. I mean, we know Dave Filoni is a huge fan, which is partly why I think so many of the series, like The Mandalorian, have been so successful. And I know he's had his hands in Andor and Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. But even then, there's a point at which you have to say, okay, what's the first phrase that comes on at the beginning of a Star Wars film? What's the first thing that you see?
In a galaxy far, far away.
In a galaxy far, far away.
A long time ago.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
Why does it have to be the same galaxy that we've seen episodes 1 through 9?
I agree.
Why can we not have a new galaxy that's still Star Wars, but uniquely new with unique different characters that have their own arc, that aren't just faction against faction, that tell some kind of different... Now, granted, I get it. I know that, again, the Force is something that's mysterious that you can elaborate on in so many different ways. Yeah. It doesn't just have to be
who's to say the Force
new
is only
evil
in that
empire.
galaxy. It's got to be transcendent. It's got to transcend galaxies.
Right.
It's got to go everywhere.
And it doesn't have to be
and we need light nunchucks. I want lightsaber nunchucks. If you're not going to do lightsabers, then give me some nunchucks.
So different iterations of lightsabers?
Yes.
That'd be interesting.
I'm just saying, it ain't Star Wars without
lightsaber shurikens. Like all these ninja Japanese oh gosh, I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. What are they? They're the thing
the throwing stars?
Yeah, the daggers you throw.
Oh.
I forget what they're called. I'm terrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it was supposed to be a space western
sure
knockoff. I mean, that's what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
So there's just
space opera.
Space opera, yeah. So it's like there's other ways in which we can elaborate on like Japanese samurai culture in space.
I'm done with Rey's story. That's all I want to know. So the Skywalker saga's over. It needs to be over. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to let that die.
They can't.
I think they know that's where the fan base is, and I think they're going to continue on because you can take this good versus evil. You can take the light versus the dark. You can take Jedi versus Sith. You can take that as far as you want because out there somewhere there is another bad guy that's even greater than Palpatine that we've never heard of, and they can bring him to light. And that's what they're going to end up doing.
But here's the thing. I mean, who do we blame? Because the reason they're clearly not going in a completely different route is because they know people will still show up to what they know best.
Yeah.
Because you have this dividing line between fans of those who want Star Wars as Star Wars exists, nothing else.
Yeah.
Which I don't think you could argue 7, 8, and 9 did. I think they changed the formula too much, which is why people, even hardcore fans, don't like it.
Yeah, I agree.
But then you also still have Disney who's sitting here saying, well, we know they're going to eat up everything we throw at them.
Yeah.
So
All these
we're gonna
shows and
do
all the
this
side
because
stuff, yeah.
people still tune in. So again, who do we place the blame on Disney because they're not taking the risk, or do we place the blame on the fans who are always going to show up to anything Star Wars?
Yeah. No, I agree. And the shows are getting me. These side stories are the ones that are making me. They're losing me as a fan. Now, that's not to say if they come out with a new movie, I'm not going to go see it. But
Same.
on Disney Plus, all these shows, every time I start one of them, I'm just like, you can make whatever you want in this universe, and that doesn't make it Star Wars. And that's what I'm saying. Boba Fett did not feel like Star Wars. Obi-Wan did not feel like the Star Wars that I've known. Even at times, The Mandalorian has gotten to where it doesn't feel like the Star Wars that I know. So it's like you got all these little side stories and these things on Disney Plus that I don't feel like are working towards keeping fans. I think they're working towards pushing people away. And I think they are seeing that, and that is one of the reasons. Oh no, we got to fast track a movie. We got to get another movie out.
But that's what's crazy is it to me that's the asinine part of it.
I know.
Is I'm like, we're literally making. It's like the fans are pushing them to continue to make content so that they keep showing up because they know they got to make money off this property. But then it's going to take them pushing out so much crap or garbage that fans complain about that they finally clean slate and they say, all right, we need to get some fresh talent in here. We need to get a Dave Filoni character who understands source material but will take it in a different direction.
Yep.
That will willingly say, yeah, let's take this risk and go this route. Because that's my only problem is I think right now, any kind of theatrical release you're going to get, it's not going to be so far removed from the Skywalker saga.
Oh, no. Yeah.
That you're going to draw in new fans.
It's going to pick right back up.
It's going to literally try
to,
and that's what they're banking on.
Yep.
And they're banking on you're going to have, because here's the thing, you also have loose Star Wars fans who know what Star Wars is, and they're just going for, again, the lightsabers and the star battles, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they're not showing up for the lore. Like, they don't care about that.
If you're going to do lore, if you're going to do all of these side stories, Keith would be the first one to tell us there are probably hundreds of freaking Star Wars books and all these different, they might not be canon, but there's all these different stories of things that are taking place during the main theme that we've never heard of. Make those.
How come we can't just like different? I'm gonna get so many people mad at me. Can't do a Star Trek thing here and have different generations of again similar themes.
Yeah.
But it's like you tell it through different perspectives, and it's like a galaxy far, far away. And it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be the same galaxy.
Yeah.
We don't have to be in the galaxy where Skywalker existed, or even if you have hints at him existing because people hear of his story, but that's it. That's the only connection. And other than that, it's something that happened over there that didn't connect with these people on that level.
Yep.
This is different. Or the same force that impacted him is now impacting this over here.
Well, that's one of the things that Lucas did that I don't even know if he did it intentionally, but it was smart either way, is that everything is confined to the galaxy. There's never one mention of the Sith or taking over the universe. It's always the galaxy, from one end of the galaxy to the other.
That's right.
That's what it always is. So it is
the Galactic Empire versus the Rebels. It's
That's
like
so
you're looking at David versus
that doesn't
Goliath.
mean the Force or Jedi or anything doesn't exist outside of that galaxy.
Exactly.
That's a problem that happened in that galaxy. Let's see some problems that happened in another one.
I would agree.
I'm fine with that.
Right.
But you got to have lightsabers. Sorry.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, absolutely.
Something like that.
I mean, and that's the thing. I think it would be it'd be such a cool arc to see how does this connect to Star Wars as a whole. But again, it's kind of what we've Scream 5 joked about in the whole rehash reboot remake, and it's like the requel, and I'm like you need kind of a new jumping off point because look, that was the end of the Skywalker saga. We don't need any more stories to fill in those gaps. I know people want to return to Luke and Leia, but part of and it did it poorly. I know people are upset, but we can't go back and redo those movies.
Luke and Leia are gone.
It's gone.
So
7, 8, 9 did it. They ruined it, but they did it. It's put a cap on it. We need to move forward with a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I have very little faith at this point. No offense to Damon Lindelof, but I I think they're sticking too close to familiar territory and not branching out enough to really give this franchise a new direction.
No,
that it needs.
I agree. I'll tell you, I think they're going to do the same thing with Indiana Jones. I honestly think number 5 is not going to be the last Indiana Jones.
No, it's going to be a handing
It'll be
of the
Harrison
torch.
Ford's last movie, but I think everybody keeps saying, "Oh no, nobody can be him but Harrison Ford." When Harrison Ford's gone, the character dies, and I don't agree. I think they will pass it and keep that IP going.
Well, we know for a fact that that's what Hollywood, especially your juggernauts right now, Disney and Paramount, and they're clinging onto any kind of life in these franchises.
Yeah.
It's
The successful franchises.
yes.
But they're not successful when you run them into the ground.
Well,
I'm
and
just
again,
saying they're clinging to the past success.
but we know regardless of who they choose as the next 007, we're going to go see it. So are we partly to blame? I mean, and it could be brilliant and amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the tragedy of Daniel Craig stepping down is it's like, okay, they have to move on.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to, just like we're seeing with the MCU, they're having to pass the torch to someone else.
Yeah.
But it's just the new band of characters they've got
Yeah.
aren't so stellar.
No.
So, I mean, you've got to reinvigorate the life of the franchise, but at the same time, have you ever thought about maybe doing something different? And I know that's hard. Don't get me wrong, and I get it. We've talked about it on the show before. A lot of these bigger blockbusters sometimes lead to new franchise starting. I mean, we've got Glass Onion coming out soon, which is Knives Out too. But it's like Rian Johnson's kind of alluded to Daniel Craig's character in that being, a modern day Sherlock Holmes that we've got kind of moving into an uncharted, franchise and an anthology series that he could do in a litany of ways with that character.
Yep.
So it's interesting because Hollywood is going to find something successful, and if they can continue to make, I mean, we've seen this now from every studio trying to have their universe, whether it's the monster universe, the MCU, DC, all the litany of ways in which they can milk the money out of every franchise they can, because you have fans who are like
and Furious.
fast.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I mean, they just keep going.
we still have one more of those left.
Yeah.
We got, or is it the last two
You
that
think.
we still with at least
I'm
Vin
just saying,
Diesel.
you think? Yeah, with Vin Diesel.
And who knows, he probably will still come back for a cameo.
Family man.
He'll milk it, man. He don't care. He does not care. He's pissed at The Rock because he didn't. He went on to Black Adam.
That's right.
Alrighty, guys. Let's move on to our next headlines, which happens to be Stallone very touchingly mentioning that he wished he could have been a better father.
Yeah,
Switching gears a little bit.
that is. That's unusual from Hollywood
Yeah. Well,
to embrace parenthood.
I thought very telling that, especially after the career that he's had,
Oh, yeah.
the rags to riches story he's had. I mean, from getting Rocky made and knowing how it started out on a shoestring budget, and him just, him winning his Golden Globe and talking about, man, Rocky Balboa's been good to me. He's brought me my whole life. But I thought it was very candid for him to sit down with this interview. I think it was with the Sunday Times. Hold on, I'm getting the name wrong as to the article. Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, Sunday Times. But no, he talked about how just recently, as just this past August, he was separating from his wife.
Yeah.
And they just recently called off the separation. They've reconciled. And I thought it was very honest and very very brave of him to come out and say, no. I'm putting this Hollywood business on hold.
Yeah.
Family's the most important.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I've realized is he was married before, had 2 sons with his previous wife, and
He's got 2 or 3 with the...
he's got 3 daughters with his current wife, and he talked about how, I did some things wrong when I was focused on my career heavily that I wish I could, take back with raising my sons. And he's like, I'm very intentional about reaching out to my daughters every day.
Yeah.
And he said, and even early on when I was trying to show them I was trying, kind of lackluster, they were like, okay, we'll see how long this lasts. And he said now he'll talk to him and they'll say, hey, I was just thinking about you the other day.
Yeah.
And he says it melts him because how amazing is it to have your kids be like, wow, they're actually thinking of me. It's like you've had this impact on their life, and he said there's no greater feeling than that.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was beautiful.
I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like to be a parent in that industry, to be a celebrity and to have the cameras on you all the time, to have people following you all the time, invading your privacy all the time. But not only that, to be a workaholic like he was, to be on set all the time, to be continually writing stuff all the time, and even didn't he direct it too? Didn't he? Yeah, directing things all the time. And like the pressure,
and think about too, like, just the, and it's really like Rocky and Rambo.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, he's done a few other things, but just point that out.
No joke. Yeah, I mean, he had some those 90s,
Expendables,
those 90s action films,
yeah.
Demolition Man, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. He's got two main, storylines that he's been invested most of his life into.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's a lot to show for it, but what is there to show for it when you come home and your kids don't know who you are?
Right.
Or they, have birthday parties that you miss, or they have. I mean, I can't imagine the pressure that you would have as a parent in that line of work, and you don't hear a lot of people talk about it,
right?
Which I think is the big deal about the article and the interview is that you don't really have a lot of people that ever admit to that either.
Yes, exactly.
Until it's too late.
And I think exactly. I think that's the telling thing is him admitting that there are times where he wishes he could have put his career on hold and recognized what was most important in his life. Because I mean, you have to come to that conclusion at some point of what is it all worth?
Yeah.
What are you really sacrificing this time towards your work that you could be providing and giving to your family and just simply being there for them? And I think to recognize that, I mean, yeah, a lot of people, you could say easily, you could throw shade at him and say, well, yeah, easy for him to say now because he's had all the success.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think that's taking it, a cynical look at it, and not taking it to heart that, look, I don't think you should begrudge anybody who comes to that conclusion at whatever point that finally steps up and says, no, okay, I'm admitting my wrongs, and I'm finally, I think of that Johnny Cash song, Hurt, and the line in that song where he's like, you can have it all, my empire of dirt. And I just think of, I know that's a remake of is it a 9 Inch Nails song? I'm pretty sure it's a 9 Inch Nails song. I may be wrong on that.
That they remade of Johnny Cash?
No. He sang it.
Oh, really?
He's saying it. I think it's a 9 Inch. I think.
I don't know.
I may be wrong on that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Not a Cash
in the
fan.
Chat. But I just, it's like you said, so many of these Hollywood elites go through their life and they're so egotistical. Everything revolves around them. And again, it's set up by design that way of you have to fight and tooth and nail to get to the top of this industry, to be known, to be recognized. But it really does take a strong person to say, what is it for, and is it worth that?
Yeah.
And if I have to sacrifice that much, then maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's time to get out of the limelight, or maybe it's time for me to hang it up and say I'm done.
Yeah.
And look, Stallone probably could have done it years ago, and maybe he would have been a forgotten voice that we wouldn't have heard of even recently.
Yeah.
That we would have only thought of as a has-been.
I don't think there's as many people in Hollywood today as there are like Stallone that actually have a true rags to riches kind of story.
No.
I think a lot of them have a little bit of riches when they go into it nowadays. And yeah, that's not to say that they don't have to fight tooth and nail in some way.
There's competition.
Yeah, absolutely. But for someone to be a legitimate self-made man in Hollywood, Stallone has done that. And I think with age too, I think your age has something to do with it. He comes from a time where you admit your wrongs and you do try to reconcile and you do apologize and you do forgive and you accept forgiveness.
Yes.
And I think that is part of it too. I think there's a lot of younger people today that don't have that in their mind at all.
Well, I like what he mentioned, and it, not to get political, but he mentions in the article, he says, I didn't know what a Democrat or a Republican was until I was 30.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy that he said wrapping a flag around himself in Rocky would cause such a problem. And I'm like, exactly.
Right.
Where
who would have ever thought that? I mean,
No.
that would have been a proud moment. But the fact that it causes controversy, and you have, I think, such political polarization coming from Hollywood these days, where, okay, yeah, there's a competitive element regardless of whatever industry you're in, but it's almost like you hear the same garbled mess coming from Hollywood. I mean, think of Jennifer Lawrence. How many times on the show we've trashed? I can't stand her. But it's like, you think of where she started as a young actress from Homegirl, Kentucky, and that's what people fell in love with her for. And then all of these years
There's rich
spending...
people in Kentucky, too.
Well...
I'm just saying.
They don't walk around barefoot like I do.
She didn't grow up in Winter's Bone. She grew up
That's true. That's
in the nice true. Part of Kentucky.
She didn't grow up in no holler.
No, that's right.
Out there in eastern Kentucky. She has all her teeth, okay?
That's right.
Her skin ain't blue. But no, I think of someone like that who literally completely did a 180 from her roots to just being a mouthpiece for whatever Hollywood elites are pushing.
Yeah.
And just knowing that as long as you speak the same plateaus that they do, you're going to get ahead. That's how you get ahead and I mean, think about all this Harvey Weinstein mess. I mean, you talk about the people who didn't say a
take
word.
Clothes off from somebody, you'll get ahead
too. And they knew.
Yeah, I know.
They knew for years, and they said nothing because it was how you do business.
Yeah.
So how do we look for these people to have any kind of morality? You look at individuals like Stallone who at least are willing to admit their faults, to at least come up from the depths and say, look, I was wrong. I wish I would have done things this way. That takes real, I think, humility to stand up and say that.
Yeah, guts.
And that's absolutely that. I mean, that's what Rocky, his character, is all about.
That's right, yeah.
And if there's anything that I think is why you can take a message like that film and know that it's not just browbeating. It truly is what I think comes from the heart from Stallone. I think that's why that movie and so many movies we point to from smaller independent artists that do stand above the fray. I mean, you don't really see that anymore, sadly. Now it's catering to a certain perspective or message, and only those get highlighted because you're, again, beating the drum they want you to beat. It's not this... I mean, it's even sad to look at someone like a Matt Damon and Ben Affleck coming from Good Will Hunting and a rise to stardom they had. And you look at a Good Will Hunting story, and it's like, that was the beauty of it. Is it a rags to riches story or this unknown talent that you harness and you shape, but you need some good discipline along the way? And it used to be these kind of moral messages you would get in Hollywood that you just don't find anymore, unfortunately.
Do you think there's members of Hollywood right now that are maybe in the same boat that will hear some of the comments that he made and say, well, look at this, there's a member of the old guard, throwing out some wisdom, and maybe I should listen to it? Or do you think it'll fall on a lot more deaf ears?
I mean, I hope. I can only hope that more people rise up. I mean, that to me is the only saving grace for anybody in Hollywood right now. I mean, look, we're still going to get big budget blockbusters.
Yeah.
You're still going to have those movies you go to, but if there's anybody who can see the monumental shift that's happened in terms of what's churned out of Hollywood year over year versus your tentpole films that are the blockbusters versus the smaller mid-level films that only your artsy fartsy crowd is going to go see, maybe even we review here on the podcast. Every once in a while you get a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Or you get one that stands out because, again, it touches a deeper essence of human nature. But it's really going to take the crowd of just Stallone and not only that generation, but more people to stand up and say, okay, I don't have to think inside just this box. And I think that's the problem with Hollywood is there's far too much generated crap that comes out because they're so concerned about, oh, no, I may get ostracized or I may not say that, then my career is over.
Yeah.
Well, damn it, stand on something. Risk your career, because the problem is that the reason Rocky is such a hit and it's lasted as long as it has in the echelons of film and why it still stands above most, and it's such a great film, and there's so many of these, are because they actually risked something in the first place to tell a story that was worth being told.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, there's a lot out there that will get shuffled under the rug, but if it's a true heartfelt message that people need to hear. I mean, we reviewed, Triple R here on the show, an Indian-made film that probably never ever thought it would see the light of day or mass audiences over here in the West.
Yeah.
And it blew up thanks to Netflix.
Yep.
And it got all this buzz, and it's a genuinely good film.
Yeah.
From
It's awesome.
It's amazing. and you look at it and it's just like this bombastic mess that's
Yes.
fantastic. It's a cacophony of just all these different genres.
Yeah.
But it works because those people believed in the story they were telling and in the way they were going to tell it. And damn it, that showed through.
Yep.
And we need that in Hollywood. They need that more now than ever. And I think you're going to see it in years to come, because I think now with the technology we have, look at the equipment we have in this room that I don't think would have been possible 10 years ago. I mean, you have an even bigger resurgence, I think, in the indie film market, because you can really reach the quality. Not in terms of maybe huge 100-member teams for CGI, big blockbuster effects, but in terms of heartfelt, emotional stories, oh, absolutely, you can still tell those. And you can penetrate that market in so many different ways through so many different mediums now.
Yep. Star Wars needs to have a dance number. Like Triple R. I'm telling you, dude, if you had lightsabers and
Just think of the can't
Jedi dancing like they do in that movie,
dude. They have like
and droids
Beat Saber
dancing
straight up.
Holy crap! You tell me that wouldn't flip Star Wars around?
Oh man,
I'm telling you, that'd be insane.
Definitely wouldn't see it coming.
Oh my god!
Galaxy far, far
That's
away.
right. That's right.
Alrighty, guys. I think that's it for our headlines. We're gonna move on to our. I almost said multimedia. That was last week.
No.
Story time. Here it goes.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
I really hope that this isn't the actual story time.
It sure is.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
I had to go so bad today at work.
So you wrote that?
I was sitting
while
there
you were going to the bathroom
at the urinal, and I was like, "I got it. This would be a great one."
You were at the urinal?
Oh, I was at the urinal.
Did you type it out, or did you just think about it? Did you pull both hands out and type while you were peeing?
No, I did it one-handed.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I
can't thumb type with one hand like that.
It's hard because my thumb can't reach all the way over.
Right.
But I try.
Okay.
And sometimes I have to I get it out of my head.
Yeah.
But it's all a garbled mess, and I gotta go back and spell check. So I gotta correct it.
All right.
But first off, do you think it's gross typing at the urinal on your phone?
Yes.
Do you do it?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't get my phone out while I'm.
See, other people at work think it's gross too.
No,
I try to hide it when I do it, but I do it.
Now, I mean, if I get a text and I can see it on my watch, I will read it on my watch.
Well, yeah,
but every now and then, if there's nobody in the bathroom, I'll hit reply and I'll talk into the watch.
Oh, at the urinal?
Yeah, at the urinal.
Oh, you're sneaky
so
about
if somebody walks in on me and I'm going, yeah, that was real funny. I saw that last night. Then
and he's like, man, what'd you see on your penis?
Right. So it's like, this guy's talking to his ding dong. It's like,
don't worry, we're close.
No, when I'm at the urinal, it's pretty. It takes a lot of focus for me to piss at a urinal. I'm just telling you, I am bladder shy when it comes to peeing at the urinal. It takes me. I gotta stare at something. If there's other people in the bathroom, it's over. I can't go. It takes me a while.
If you went to a stall and sat down, would you be able to?
If I go to no, I don't sit down to pee.
Well, no.
But if I went into the stall to go to the bathroom,
go at the urinal,
no, I'm saying if I go to the stall and stand to pee in the toilet, I'm fine. I got walls.
It's the exposure.
I don't want an audience. It's an audience thing.
You can't perform in front of an audience.
That's right. Could not be a porn star.
Okay. Could not be Dirk Diggler.
That's right.
Okay.
No. Well, I mean, literally, if somebody is standing in there next to me, I can't talk, and I've got to stare at the brick wall in front of me and focus on something to get it to go. Once it starts going, I'm good.
I think it is weird. I've done it before because it's kind of like I'm.
I know this is not at all what your story time.
Well,
but
we're getting there.
We're getting
this
there.
Is kind of a story.
It's along the same lines.
Yeah, it's in the same vein.
So,
but I guess I'm too agreeable because I won't talk to anybody in the bathroom. I think it's odd and awkward, especially as you're coming out of a stall. It's just weird.
You've talked after a movie.
Well, yeah, but that's what it is different when I know you guys. Obviously, it's
when
a close circle
with somebody.
But when it's employees or coworkers, you're like, I'm like, I don't know how to. I don't want to. I just want to do my business and go.
Right.
But then there's some people where it's like, man, they don't care. They have no rhyme or reason. They're
Oh, no.
comfortable. They walk in there.
Oh,
hey
yeah.
man, I've been needing to talk to you about. And I'm like, well,
I've
we
had
could.
somebody slap me on the butt while I was peeing before.
No, you didn't.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say who. but
That's
I've
sexual harassment.
I've had another man slap me on the butt while I was peeing.
Like
Somebody I know.
attaboy?
Hmm?
Like attaboy?
Like
you got
an attaboy. He didn't say attaboy.
But yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
must have known you were peeing. And
Oh,
he-
yeah.
And he was giving you he knew you had a hard time with exposure.
Well, no, it was just he was making it awkward on purpose.
Oh, well, then that's different. That's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, guys will sometimes do
Camaraderie.
that. Yeah.
But
But
still.
I just think it's awkward to talk in the bathroom.
Okay.
I mean, if I know, again, if it's a closed circle,
Sure.
that's different. But if I'm coming out of the stall and you want to have a full-blown conversation or if I'm literally walking in and you're washing your hands to go and I'm walking to the urinal and you continue to talk to me as
Yeah.
I'm pulling my penis out,
Yeah.
I think that's a little too far. It's like once my penis, I'm just going to stop the combo. It's like, yeah, I know exactly.
Oh,
and then, I'm just like, I gotta go.
You pause.
I gotta focus too.
You hit pause.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to carry this on while I'm peeing
Nice,
and talking to
okay.
you with it in my hand. I don't want to do that.
Next time you pause, I'll know that's why.
It's like it's going.
I'll be like, okay, I got to stop talking.
But there are times too where I'm like, maybe I'm too agreeable and I'll continue the conversation.
So has there ever been a time that you had to go so bad and you didn't make it?
That's our story time.
So you're going
yes.
flat. You're not saying
Pee
you had
or
to go.
poo?
You had to go so bad you almost didn't make it. You said
Didn't
you
make it.
didn't make it.
Yeah, I'm going with that one. There is one time. It was not when I was older. It was when I was younger.
Okay.
So
What does that have to do with it?
I just because I
You pointed that out.
I didn't want
really quick.
I didn't want people to think this was a recent thing that happened.
Like I didn't crap my pants yesterday.
I've had streaks before. I thought, man, I better go back here and wipe better.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that.
I farted on my way to work once and it wasn't a fart, and I had to turn
You
around.
bet on it and lost. Huh?
That's right.
You turned around?
Yeah, I had to turn around and go home and get a change of pants.
Oh, it was real
It was
bad.
bad. It was
man.
bad enough that I wasn't going to work.
Was it gonna be bad enough that
I was
it would've-
late.
It would have dried. It would have stained, or
Oh man, no.
like it would have smelled.
No, this was water, dude. This was a wet one.
Wow,
It was bad.
I've known people who have straight up told me that they've gone accidentally and they just completely threw their underwear away at work.
No, this wasn't at work.
No,
I was
I'm
in the
saying,
car.
but
This was on my seat.
Oh.
Like I had to get home and
Clean it off with some Clorox,
change everything. Went through the
bleach.
jeans and everything.
Just seep through the jeans.
Straight liquid, man.
I've had those.
I'm telling you, those those are the worst because you got to be careful. Those feel like a fart and then they just
no.
squirt out.
You can usually tell. I'm pretty good about I'm on the cusp and I'm like I'm not
that
gonna
feels-
go any.
that feels too hot.
Yep. And I'm
That's
like I'm
body
gonna
temp.
hold off.
That's body
Yep.
temp. That's poop.
and it's
Oh. Oh God.
But no, I've had it to where I will say, no, more than likely my body it's kind of amazing. It's like I'll be out somewhere and you can feel it, but you're on your way home,
yeah.
and it's always that feeling of you're oh man, about
As
to.
soon as you get home.
But as soon as you get, and you think you're not going to make it.
That's right,
Like to
yeah.
the point I'm
Oh, yeah.
jumbling my keys,
Yes.
fumbling them, and I'm like, it's like I can't find the
Kicking
right
the
one.
dog.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god!
get
And
out of the
then-
way.
Yeah, it's like move, and then
Yeah.
I'm tripping over the garbage can, and I can't get in the bathroom, and then it's
Yeah.
like, but as soon as I sit down, boom, relief.
explosion.
And it's like, and you swear to yourself, you're like, man, if I would have
2
waited
seconds
2
more.
seconds, I would have
Yeah.
made it. I would
Yeah.
not have made
No,
it.
my body knows when I'm home.
Right.
But again, sometimes you think you got fart and
Yeah.
it ain't a fart.
Well, when you get older, it gets harder.
It just
You bet on things and
I wasn't gonna
gamble.
I wasn't gonna blame it on my age. 'Cause
I don't know, man. Colon just don't act the same way as
I
it
don't
used
know.
to. Same way with eating stuff. It
I
just
got,
don't react the same
I
way.
got good muscles right there. It's pretty
Hey.
tight.
I mean,
So-
I guess age could help too. You've been practicing all your life. You know,
I do Kegels.
working it out. But no, the time that I bet on it,
Ooh.
or not bet on it, but I tried to make it and I lost. I was like, I think I was first, second grade.
Oh, you're going back to when
I'm
you were
back.
a child.
I remember
Come
this.
on, I'm not going to blame a child.
Well, but still.
In your adult life, you pooped your pants.
No.
Not once.
No.
Not peed either.
No.
I'm not. Well, I don't think I've ever peed. No.
Well, I've maybe. I'm trying to think of like, but it wouldn't have been like a full on pee. But I've definitely probably drank too much water before going to bed, and there's been times where I've woken up in the middle of like, oh my gosh, I'm about to go, and I'm about to just wet all over the sheets, and I got to rush to the bathroom.
Okay.
I still haven't wet the bed since I was like probably, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't wet the bed.
I
But
think number 2 is a lot easier to mess up than the number 1.
yeah, well, and that was the thing. Like I was so young, I was running off the bus, and I was going.
What about you, Derpy?
Who's
Derpy on YouTube.
What does Derpy think? Is he listening to this right now?
He's
on.
our listener from our that was commenting last time.
Well, hey, what do you
have you ever crapped your pants, Derpy? You ever pooped or peed in your pants accidentally?
a time
No
when-
shame. No
yeah,
shame.
Just tell us. Throw
Just
it
let
out
us
there.
Throw
man.
it out there.
We're getting real on this show.
That's right. This is story time. It's what happens on story time.
Now, if it happened and you were 30, maybe just hold that one.
What's that got to do with anything? That was like 2 years ago.
I'm not saying that bad about it.
It's
But
like
look,
6 o'clock in the morning, man. I
Crap-
thought I had to
crap
fart.
happens.
It wasn't a fart. I was tired.
no, I mean, look, I've had little stray ones at work.
Okay.
But no, okay, I'm going to finish the story. I'm gonna
Define
finish
that.
it. Like, you're just at work and you get a little bit. It's the time when I feel like you rush to the bathroom
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, I gotta go.
What's happening?
Pull down your pants, you're on the toilet, and then you look down, and it's like you got a little streak in your underwear, and you're like, man, I didn't make it all the way.
Okay.
Like that. That's
So
happened.
you had like the.
but never full
it
on
was,
blown.
It was
like
poking out, and your underwear rubbed it.
yeah,
That kind of thing.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
a little prairie dog coming
Well,
out. That's right.
Now imagine that just being water, like diarrhea.
See, that's worse because
that's
then
the
it
same. That's what happened to
right,
me.
right.
So
And I've definitely had like swamp butt where
I mean, I ain't talking
After
about I
I've
wasn't
gone-
sitting in a pool of crap here. I'm talking about it was enough that I needed to change real
Yeah.
quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, you had the well, and if
And
I was
5 minutes from home when it happened, so
see
I was able to turn
if
around.
I was
If
20
wasn't-
minutes from
oh
home,
no, if
I would have still done it.
I'd have got to work, and then I would have stripped the underwear off.
Oh, I would have been like, I forgot something at home, and I have to go back.
I forgot something.
and I had to go
My
back.
clean
and
pants.
I forgot my key at home, or I didn't lock the door. I had to go back, and
I forgot the.
I'm gonna be a
shit at
little
home.
late.
I gotta go
Well,
home and do that now.
Yeah, if I'm at home, I would have finished the
Yeah,
job.
that'd be rough because you know it's gonna smell.
well, that's the thing. That's why I wouldn't be able to do it.
If it got through to your pants, it's gonna smell.
Well, then, okay, that opens up a bigger question. Should you take a reserve? Should you have a reserve on
That's
hand
a
in your
tough
car?
question there. Yeah, you don't. I don't know about that.
Women do.
I don't know how many people.
I know women
I know
do.
women do,
But they do
because
it for the other
they
reason.
do it because they. Yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I almost said it.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say it.
that happens.
It makes me sick. I don't like that time of the month. So, but yeah, no, guys don't carry a spare
no.
underwear.
Well, we're kind of like live and let live. If it happens,
That's right.
you got to deal with it.
No.
I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
But you got to deal with it.
If my boss is giving me, no pun intended, crap about it, I'll be honest with her. I'll be like, look, I crap my pants.
I
I'm
poop my
going home.
pants.
Like, that's it. I'm not staying.
Sorry.
That's right. I'll be back later.
It's like I'm coming back. I'll take it off my time
That's
card.
right.
I don't care.
That's right.
But I gotta change this. You don't want me in here all day
That's right.
stinking.
Yep.
That's right.
You wouldn't want me in here with COVID.
But no,
You want me here with poop?
I rushed to the front door
Yep.
when I was a little
When you're a
kid, and the door was locked. I was trying to get inside the house.
Oh.
Was beating on the door. It was loud music playing,
Mm.
and I could not hold it. And I just was sitting there. My sister and brother were on the inside,
Yep.
and I pissed myself right there at the front door. And finally, about maybe 5 minutes went by. The warm sensation turned to a cold sensation really quick.
Yeah.
And
Was it
they
cold
opened the
outside?
door, and it wasn't. It was actually a nice, like, spring day.
Okay.
And I remember my sister opening the door, and I rushed in, and I was just like, she actually did really well. She was sitting there. She was in a happy mood, and she helped me out. I was a little kid.
Yeah.
She helped change me, get me into a nice clean pair of underwear,
Okay.
and everything was good from then on. But that was a time where I almost, where I didn't make it. I didn't make it.
Yeah.
I peed myself. But
No poop.
No poop story. I've never, thankfully, I've had a time. Nah, see, but I actually made that. I made it, but I was staying over at Keith's house. Believe it or not, this is stupid. You do not do this. You will wreck your colon. Okay, you will wreck it.
What did you do?
I was so embarrassed of pooping at other people's houses when I was younger that I did not go at other people's houses. I waited till I got home, which wasn't typically a problem if you were only staying the night, like one night.
Yeah.
But in the summertime, because Keith lived right across the street,
You'd be over there.
We were best friends. I stayed over there probably 3 nights sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember holding my poop in for like 3 days. When I told my mom this was, she was like, what'd you do that for? Like, she gets mad at me about it. I'm like, I'm a kid. I didn't know, and it hurt. It did hurt.
Yeah.
And I remember it was Vacation Bible School at Valley Station.
Yeah.
And I remember we were outside playing kickball or something. And I mean, in the middle of like
running bases or something.
It was, I stopped and I said, I'll be right back. Yep. And I just jetted
to that concrete bathroom.
Yes.
Go to that big concrete.
It was the one right on the first floor from the back. When you come in the back doors, it was right to the right.
I'm talking about the one on the playground. The big concrete bathroom.
No.
On the
This was inside the actual
building.
church.
Okay.
Yeah. So you ran straight in, and it was like right to the right or something. I mean, it was one of those. It's like the bathroom's right next to the hallway. Anybody could have heard. Yeah. But man, it was. And that's the thing. I wasn't constipated. I intentionally held it.
Yeah.
But it was so hard to pass that I mean, like it hurt. It hurt trying to push it out, but I got it out. And I learned my lesson. You don't hold it.
Don't hold it.
Your body will tell you when to let go.
Yep.
You let go. Even if you're driving on the expressway. Your body was telling you something, Sean.
I wasn't on the expressway.
You were driving? Oh, you were 5 minutes from home.
I was like down. Yeah, I was on a country road.
Hey, take me home.
Road.
So was that your story of a time you didn't make it?
That's the only time that I can honestly say, no, I didn't make it. Like, there's been other times it's been close. Like you said, 2 seconds more.
Yep.
Been on the walls.
Yep.
But, yeah, that one time it was just like,
ooh, no, that's not.
It was like immediate. I was probably singing WJIE or something when it happened.
Not
probably
good.
saving Stephen Curtis Chapman. And then it was just water. Wasn't nothing there, just water.
That's it.
You can't hold water in.
Yeah, I know. You can't.
You can't hold water in.
You can't
boy.
hold that in.
Nope.
That's it. Alrighty, guys. I think that's gonna do it for this episode.
Keith missed a good story time.
He did.
I'm sure
he's definitely has to have one. We'll have to get him to maybe tell it on next week's show.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll do that.
What's next week's segment?
Next week's segment is relationships.
We're going to talk about that relationship you have with people in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
When you talk in the bathroom.
Or a time where you peed or pooped on somebody. How close is your relationship?
I did offer to pee on my wife when she got stung by a jellyfish.
Well, that's different. That's for medical reasons.
She didn't take my offer.
That's straight up Survivor right there.
I hope I've heard that it works.
It does work. I've seen it on Survivor, and it does work. But then it's also funny. My brother has a funny story about that. He was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Real quick. And he was at a urinal. And another little kid, they had those urinals that were like from your eye height down, all the way down to the floor. Because, in elementary school, you can't, you're a little kid.
Sure.
You're going to piss everywhere. You're going to miss.
Yep.
And this kid came in, stood right next to him in the urinal right beside him. And he looked over, he said, "Hey." My brother was like, "What?" He goes, "Can I pee on you?" And my brother's like, "Yeah." And he straight up turned over, pissed on him. And then my brother ran out, and he went and told the teacher. He said, "Hey, he just peed on me." Told on the kid, and the kid got in trouble.
Nice.
That was great.
Well played.
That was awesome. That was it. Yep. It was a good time. So, sometimes you just need life lessons.
That's right.
Just learn to.
We know when that don't work. When someone says, "Hey, can I shoot you?" And
yeah, that's
you can't go say yes and then run and tell the teacher.
No. The cops will find your body.
Yeah,
and they'll just know that you're dead. That happens.
Yep.
And you know what? It's better to be pissed on than shot at
That's true, in the bathroom.
Okay, because it's a story about life.
That's right.
You continually get pissed on, but you keep going.
That's
okay?
right. Take a change of underwear with you to work.
Alrighty,
Just in
guys. That's going to do it for us on this Red Moon Podcast episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Right there at the bottom of your screen, check out all of our social. Like, share, subscribe. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics, and our new handle. Yes, because we passed 100 subscribers. Thank you so much. Woohoo! That's right, 100. Hey, we're still striving. We're still fighting. Itching our way to the top.
What's that new handle?
Red Moon
you say?
Productions.
Okay.
YouTube.com/@Red Moon Productions.
Ooh.
Simple as that, guys.
That's
right
easy.
there. Or just search for us. We're like the top pick. Go for us there. Right there. Alrighty, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hopefully, Keith is back with us next week. We can't wait to review our next movie, whatever
that
it
one
is.
movie, yeah.
We're going to figure it out and post it on social and let you know. But until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
I got to go.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.